You.
Assalamu alaikum. Okay, welcome to this live on wealth and manifesting. I am so excited because we are going to be having my wonderful, fabulous, amazing coach, Shazia Imam. The Life Engineer is her Instagram handle. Hi, everyone. So I'm waiting to see her come on. And we are going to be sharing personal stories. There she is. Personal stories of we're getting personal. We're getting personal, right? You're gonna hear the personal backstory of all the stuff that has do it in a beautiful way. Okay. Inshallah, she should be connecting soon. And yeah, no, there she is. Yay. So
Hey, welcome Salon Zahra. How are you?
I'm so good. It's so good to see you, talk to you.
I'm so excited to have this conversation. Oh my God. And you look radiant, mashallah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I love that you chose the hot pink.
I know. Although the poll was split, I'd asked people, should I wear a hot pink lipstick or red lipstick? And it was pretty split, so I went hot pink.
Cute. It's on brand.
Thank you.
Okay, so I didn't do much of an introduction, only to say that Shazia is my fabulous, amazing life coach. And I would love if just to start off to just give a brief overview of who you are and what you do. Of course, they're going to learn so much about what you do through our conversation. But how to kick us off?
Okay, so hi everyone. Assalamu alaikum for everybody joining. My name is Shazia Imam. I'm also known as the Life Engineer. I was an engineer in my previous life. You know, as a Desi girl, the expectation was to become a doctor, and I became an engineer. But ultimately now a life coach. I'm also the host of the Feminine and Fulfilled podcast. And I've been coaching now, I think, for, 8, 9 years. I've lost track. But I'm really passionate about women in particular living their best life, and not in a cliche way, but really what that means to you, living it in the most authentic, full, fulfilled, free way. And I'm so excited to be here today, Zahra, to share. And like you said, get real personal. I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
That's one of the things we don't do enough of, but we get to, so that we can all elevate together.
Yes. Yes. Something that I try to share on Practical Muslim, this Instagram account, and in my emails and all of it is like the backstory, right? Like you see a person's success, or you see even a person sad and depressed or crying, but you oftentimes don't really get the fullness of the story, right? And I mean, Shazia is such a beautiful example of like, you had a tragedy, right? You experienced a tragedy in losing a child. You've built yourself up. You have a $1 million coaching business practice, right? So you could know on paper your low moment, your high moment, and think like, oh wow, she was so strong to get through that, and oh wow, she must be so strong to have built that. But to actually get the fullness of the backstory is really, really like where you can connect with people, because otherwise it's so like we make up stories about how strong the person was and how great they are without really appreciating their humanity, right? We strip people's humanity when we do that. And so part of this conversation is I'm hoping to expose more of my own humanity, your humanity, and because that's when you see the connection, like, oh, it's not that they're just so strong or they're just so great that they were able to navigate the low and the high. It's that they're human like me, and these were all of the multitude of things that were going on, and this is how they were able to deal with their humanness and overcome the low, and deal with their humanness to be able to rise up to a high.
Yeah, and I think what's really important about what you're saying too is not to just look at somebody outside of yourself. So people might be joining right now and they may have a thought about you or a thought about me, and you might be seeing you outside of who we are. And that's what we do when we start to separate ourselves. But ultimately the goal today in sharing is that you see yourself in us. in something we shared or in an experience that we had, or maybe it brings up something for you that you've never considered before, but you see yourself in this conversation and it allows you to reach the heights of who you are. Otherwise, you're just taking in information, and you have plenty of that already. Like really what Zahra and I want for you now and moving forward, and that's why we're talking today, is so that you can really, I'm using the word elevate a lot today, like you can really elevate to the greatness that you believe and know yourself to be. So I just encourage you to, you know, even in all the things we share today, see yourself and garner the nuggets that are really meant for you, because you wouldn't be watching this right now if this wasn't meant for you.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay, so we were exchanging messages about what we would talk about, and we are talking about wealth and manifesting. So I'd love for you to just share, like, what does manifesting and dua mean to you? How does that relate to wealth as kind of like a base start for the conversation?
Sure. So to me, manifesting and dua go part and parcel. I know that a conversation that's happening a lot in the Muslim community is that, well, manifesting is attributing it to yourself versus Allah. And I just don't believe in that. To me, manifesting means that you believe in Allah so much, and you believe when Allah says ask, like ask me, like I want you to come and ask me, that it will be answered, that the promise that it will be answered, not because you can do something, but because you decided that when Allah created you, that you were worthy enough to make that dua. Like literally, that's what Allah wants for us to ask. What a beautiful gift. I mean, is that all we have to do? That's fantastic. So to me, when I think about manifesting, if I'm talking to a mixed audience of Muslims and non-Muslims, then it goes across the board. But I imagine a lot of people watching right now are Muslim. So let's talk about dua. To me, the power of dua is that you ask, you believe, and you receive. This receiving piece is really key, because this is what wealth means to me. Wealth means that I receive the bounty that Allah has meant for me. And this has been one of the hardest things to overcome, because even yesterday, I saw a woman walking on the street, okay? I'm going to do a very vulnerable share. This woman was walking on the street, and I'm driving in my car, okay? And, you know, here I am, I'm driving in a nice car, and the music is blasting, and I'm feeling myself and feeling really good. And this woman is walking in the heat, and she's also in hijab, and I made up a story in my head, okay? This is why it's a vulnerable thing, because I don't know if this was her reality, but she looked a little bit like she was kind of hunched over, and she was walking, and we may or may not have been the same age, but I could feel like the heaviness. And the story I made up is that her life is very difficult. And I felt this immense sense of guilt for a moment. Like, why is she over there and I'm over here? You may feel this with, why am I where in the land I'm living in today when my, you know, my ancestors or even like my family today live in a place without opportunity? Or why do I live in a land where I'm not oppressed? Okay, there's a lot of things that we can think about. Who am I to have safety? Who am I not just to have safety, but who am I to, safety is the basic level. Then who am I to be in comfort? And then who am I to be in wealth and joy and fulfillment? It feels bad sometimes. And so I see this woman and I'm thinking about it, and I caught myself, because one of the things in my journey has been to receive that Allah put me here for a reason. Allah gave me this gift to be in this land, gave me the opportunity to be able to live this life and to share it with others. This is a gift, and this is an amana. It's a trust that I've been given. And if I sit in my own thought and in my own guilt and sometimes my own pity party, well, that's not helping the person on the other side. And it's certainly not helping me. And so I had this moment of, you know, Allah gave me not just this gift, but gave me this gift that the more I stand in the gifts that I've been given and receive them wholeheartedly and stand in my light, the more alignment that happens, the more it creates light for others. And so this to me is what wealth is about. Wealth isn't just, oh, I've got money, I've got a car, I've got a house, I've got a husband, I've got XYZ, fill in the blank. Wealth is about understanding the depth of the gift that you have received and are worthy of receiving simply because Allah chose that for you.
Mm, mm, mm. Are you guys feeling Shazia? Are you feeling Shazia? Oh my gosh. Okay. So, like, this is deep. You guys need to re-listen. This is deep, right? We're talking about wealth at a whole nother level that Shazia has just taken us to, right? We're talking beyond the material things. We are talking about your own worthiness, that your own even like ability to appreciate and enjoy life, and enjoy that you are living, you know, safely, right? Like that can be wealth that some of us do. We do feel that guilt when we hear about the next earthquake, the next disaster, the next bombs that are dropped, the next conflict. We feel guilty. We feel guilty that I'm not unsafe. And how, right, like that Shazia is turning this around for us. How is that like throwing back to God, like the gifts that he's bestowed on you? Instead of being alhamdulillah, like truly grateful, like sinking into the gratitude of like, that I have this experience, instead of allowing that to fill you up with love for Allah, for your life, and appreciation for the safety of all your loved ones near you, it's like, oh man, maybe I don't deserve this. Maybe this wasn't written for me. Maybe this is bad. Maybe it's not good that I have this, and I need to make up for it by doing all sorts of, by giving away all my wealth, and, you know, all sorts of other things that we could do. So allow that to sink in, and of course we're gonna keep going, so you're gonna have to keep up. But okay, so like we said, we're gonna bring this personal. So I'm going to bring this to my coaching with Shazia. So the reason I started coaching with Shazia was because of wealth, was because of money, was of literally financial reasons. My husband had quit his job because it was a bad work environment. If any of you are in Boundless Success, you've heard his story. And we made the decision, a faith-based decision, that he would leave his job. We totally, wholeheartedly believe that Allah would support us. Allah is the one who provides. We are not reliant and dependent on a person, a job, and anything. Like, let's do this. Allah's got us. And then it, you know, got really real, and it was really hard, and we had no money. He was applying for jobs, I was applying for jobs, things were falling through. We lived in Manhattan at the time. It basically got to the point where we could no longer afford rent. We could not afford to live there. We moved. The plan had always been to move back to California, where I'm from, but basically we were forced into that decision a little bit earlier than we wanted to be. And came and moved to California and moved in with my parents as we tried to like get our stuff together. And we moved in December of 2018. I don't know if that's right. Yes, that's right. And yeah, and then in January of 2019, was it January that I started working with? Was it 2019 or 2020?
I think it was 2019.
It was 2019. In January of 2019 is when I signed up with coaching with Shazia. But so it's just very quickly after we moved and after all this stuff. But before then, someone had told me about Shazia. Someone had showed me her profile on Instagram. They're like, oh, you're doing this great coaching work. You might be interested in Shazia. She's a coach too. Check out her work. So I had checked out her work. I was like, oh my God, I love it. She's amazing. I started following her, and I signed up for her email newsletters. So for a whole year, the whole year of 2018, I had been receiving Shazia's emails. And if you're not on her email list, get on her email list. She sends these beautiful, powerful, potent email lists, just like literally like lighting up your soul and your heart like you were meant for greatness. You don't need to be mediocre. I know you're a good girl doing all the right things and it's just not working out. Is there a longing in your heart? And I just be reading her like, yes, yes, yes. reading them for a year. I'm like, man, I wish I could work with her, man, but I can't afford it. I can't afford it. I can't afford it. I can't afford it. So we get to California. We have no money. We've moved in with my parents. I'm pregnant with our fourth child. And in January, I don't know, something is the new year, the new thing. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to call her. I'm just going to have one of her calls. She offers a free call. I'm going to have this call. Maybe she'll share something with me that's going to help me like keep going. And really my intention was not to sign up for coaching because I could not afford it. And continue what I had been doing, which was trying to piece bits of, you know, personal development, spirituality, learning, hustling, resume writing, applying for jobs, piece all these things together to hobble some sort of path forward because I needed a path forward. So I get on this call with Shazia, bearing my soul, crying, right? There's a lot of shame and guilt, right? My husband's a PhD. I'm an attorney. Like, it made no sense why we were so financially insecure, why we hadn't gotten new jobs. Like, it made no sense. It made no sense, and there's so much going on to the point that I really, really, really could appreciate it's something within me. It's something within me. It's something about how I'm thinking, believing. It's something about what I feel I'm worthy of, deserving of. It's something spiritual, mental that I need support with, and that's why I'm gonna have this call with Shazia and see what comes out of it. So we're having this call, and Shazia is so gracious, so eye-opening, so many things, and it gets to the point where she's like, well, you know, we could work together and work on this. And I'm like, shoot, I can't afford it. So my whole body is just like let down, like there's no, you know, there's no like silver bullet that she can give me in this 60 minutes. There's not, like, of course, like there's not. I knew that, but I was hoping she would give me something to latch on to that I could like take back and like continue digging away by myself. But there was nothing. It was just like, come work with me. We can do this. You can do it. And I was just let down, and I was like, okay, like I don't think so. I don't think so. And then Shazia asked me an amazing question. What did you ask me?
Yeah, because you had bared your soul. You really had, and I acknowledge you for coming so open, you know, just, and that was the thing, is there was a part of you that was so ready. And I asked this simple question. I said, what if you trusted yourself?
Yes. Yes. That's what she asked me. I think actually you asked me, like, do you trust yourself? And at first I was like, what? Like, what is this question? What does it have to do with anything? And then as I like, you know, I was just sitting silently, as I let that question wash over me, it was just this overwhelming sense of, yes, I trust myself. Like, if I have to bet on anyone, I'm going to bet on me. If I know where I've been and what I want and what I'm capable of and how hardworking I am and how determined I am and how committed I am to unearthing whatever is in the way between me and, you know, financial freedom, I trust me. Yes. And when she asked me that question, it was like, yes, I trust myself. I'm signing up. And before I told her, I can't sign up, I need to talk to my husband, blah, blah, blah. I was like, I'm getting my credit card. I'm signing up.
I remember that. Well, I remember the moment, and I don't want to even gloss over it, because there was such a pause, right? There was, when it came to this question about trust, there was a pause, because it was a pivotal moment for you to trust yourself, to bet on yourself, to know that the greatest investment was yourself. And I could feel that in that moment, it was almost as though there was a part of you that had been wanting that to be seen, because, you know, even as you're describing like how you had been and trying to like get things together and do this and that, it's almost as though, if you take an analogy of like, you're trying to like dig a well with a little triangle axe, and you're just going and like, okay, I'm gonna get the water, versus deciding like, whoa, I'm gonna trust this tool that Allah has placed in front of me, even though I want to say no, I'm gonna trust it, and then the water emerges, right? Like it, like a whoosh. Like, that's actually what I'm seeing for you. Like, it's the first time I felt like this as you're sharing this story. And I say that because oftentimes there are these pivotal moments where if you trust, just like you did in that moment of, I'm going to bet on myself. Yes, I do trust myself. Yes, this is who I am. This is who I've always been. And even though right now it doesn't look the way I imagined, I'm going to go all in because I trust. And you did that. And then, oh gosh, yeah, I'll pause because I'll let you share. But yeah, I mean, that was a pivotal moment that changed so much. And it was
did.
you for you.
Yeah. 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 It really was like, I cried then, I cried after. It was just like, I'm going to bet on me. Because I tried everything. There was no other tool, no other gimmick, no other anything other than me.
Mm-hmm.
And I needed now to like go for me. And when we were chatting, you were tying this in because like I wanted financial freedom. And as we went through our course of coaching, of course, that like the thing I want most is just freedom, to feel free. I'm the oldest child, all the things, all the pressures, all the things, I just want to feel free. And how you were even sharing with me yesterday about the choice and freedom and choosing. So could you share more about how that relates?
Yeah. It's such a choice, okay? And this is where we do have agency. So earlier when we were talking about manifesting and dua, and I know you are like a leader in the Zahra. Like I know that this is literally what you are an expert at, okay? So we've already come to the space understanding that dua and manifesting is so important and trusting that it's coming from Allah, okay? So we're not attributing it to ourselves. We are giving that to the Most Supreme. What I want to say, though, is you do have agency. It's not to say that, well, you just sit and you're like, okay, send me stuff. Where is it? No, like you have agency to make powerful choices in your life. So you gave the example of the powerful choice that you made. I've made a powerful choice in my life too. I've had many of these moments. And I imagine for you who's watching, you can think about a moment too, where you made a choice, you made a decision point that changed the trajectory of your life. Again, not attributing it to you, but also that you had the agency to make that decision, that something came in front of you and you took the aligned path for yourself. And that is the piece where, for me, it's like the example I gave earlier. Could I sit in the guilt? Could I sit in the story I had all my life, like I'm this petite brown girl and I can only do so much? No, I made a choice to say, instead of like, why me? Because that was such a question I used to ask, why me? Instead of, why not me? Why not me? Why can't I? And it started driving decisions that I would make, whether it was deciding to invest in real estate when people thought like, that's not what we do yet. And I'm like, well, why not? Or deciding like, you know what? I'm a divorcee. And, when I was going through the darkest period of my life and feeling like I was going to die, literally an old maid, and deciding, well, why not me to find a guy? Maybe a guy can fall from the sky. Why not? Why not me? Or making a decision when I was at work of, oh, it's supposed to take X amount of years to get promoted. And I thought, why can't I just get promoted in a year? Right? These are all, I'm bringing up points in my own life, okay, where I made a decision to say, why not me? And it turned out to be very fruitful decisions. So when I think about living in freedom, it's because I just decided, you know what? I don't actually have to strive for anything anymore. I don't have to prove myself to anybody. The greatest freedom is purely being the petite brown Muslim girl that I am and enjoying my life just because. That is the revolution. That is freedom. So really getting to that bottom of like me deciding I am worthy of this freedom just because, period.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I mean, and that was like how we started, right? You told me we first started coaching, and of course, all throughout it. But you told me like wealth is a choice, freedom is a choice, and I was just like, what are you talking about, woman? Like maybe for you, you've already made it, right? But I'm like, I'm here. I'm trying to choose wealth. The jobs are not coming through. The business is not growing. I've got 3 kids already. I'm pregnant with my 4th. I am not free. I'm in my parents' home. I am not free. I am not wealthy. And so, if you can, I don't want to say how I came to realize that you coached me through that.
Yes.
So give them a little taste.
Yeah. So, I'll share kind of from a high level, and then I'll share a very specific example. Are you open to what I share about your journey?
Yes.
Can I share?
Sure.
Okay, awesome. Okay, I have to ask permission,
Yeah.
Everything's confidential. Okay. Okay, so one of the things which I can imagine a lot of people are resonating with what you're saying, Zahra, where it's like, again, oh, you did it because it's something about you, but I'm over here on the struggle bus, like help me out here. And I'm trying and I'm trying and I'm trying. For the love of God, stop trying. Okay? Just stop trying. Okay?
I want to tell you guys, I just want to interject. One of my coaching assignments from Shazia was she's like, every coaching call, she gave me an action items. And one time my action item, she's like, you're going to do, it's like, okay, do no thing. Huh? Do no thing. What? Do nothing. What? This is my action to do nothing? Like the hardest assignment she ever gave me. But continue.
Oh my God. I love working with my clients so much. I loved that moment. Okay. So one of the things that, Zahra, you were really good at is you are a doer. Okay. You're a doer and you're really good at what you do. And so you hold on tight, and this is the energy. I'm like this too, or I used to be. I'm still like it. I'm not recovering. I just know how to deal with it. But, when you're holding on and you're trying and trying and trying, it's like your fists are like this. And I want you to try doing that, like putting your fists together and hold it so tight, tight, tight. You're trying, you're holding on. You're like, if I just do a little bit more. Okay, it hurts. Are your fingers like fists hurting yet? Open it up. Like the blood has stopped going into your hands. Like it's intense. But notice what happened when you opened up. Okay? The blood can come back. SubhanAllah, when we open up our hands too, this is the act of making dua, right? That we ask, like we literally put our hands and we ask and we say, Allah, please, like give us this. We don't even have to say please. I think, I don't know where that came from. We can just say, Allah, give me, right? Allah like is here like a friend, Start looking at life like that. It's not transactional. Our life is not transactional. You are not transactional. It's not because you did something good that then you are deserving of something good from your Lord. Okay? Allah doesn't say do something good so I can reciprocate you with something good. Allah actually says, even when you sin, I have you sin so that you turn back to me and ask. I mean, it isn't more clear than that it's that easy, right? Like that to really ask. So stop trying so hard. And that was something I know for you was a game changer. So that's sort of the big picture, right? The big picture of let go of everything that you're carrying, whether it's the little threads of all the things that you have to manage or all the big things that you feel like a boulder on your chest and you feel the pressure. Allow yourself to know that you don't have to exist under that boulder, or that you don't have to hold all those things either. I know that this may sound so much easier said than done, but this paradigm shift will change your life when you can even just say to Allah, I receive. Because receiving is the hardest thing for most people, especially hardworking, achieving women, just like us. Yeah. So that's something really big. Now, I want to give something tangible too, but I'll just pause here and then I'll come back to a tangible story. But I want to pause here in case, I don't know if people are asking questions or anything.
Questions haven't come through. So you can keep going.
Okay. So I want to share a tangible story about you. And we had kind of chatted about this, and this is related to making a decision. I'm just asking. So I remember we had this one session. You came to me and you're like, Shazia, I've been approached to do a talk. And I said, that's great. And you're like, okay, but like, I don't know how much like I should charge. And, it was this company coming to you, and I think they had just said, hey, we want to bring you in. Let us know what it looks like to bring you in. So it was this wonderful opportunity. And I remember saying, okay, well, how much would you like be happy? Like, how much would you like to make from it? And you're like $500. And I'm like, okay, so if you stretch that, what would it be? And you're like $1,000. And I'm like, okay. And I don't remember the details. I don't know if I said it or you said it or who said it, but somehow $5,000 came up.
Yes, yes.
And I was like, what if you asked for 5,000? And maybe it had been maybe I had said, what's your biggest number? Maybe, because I try not to tell my clients like what it is. I like for my clients to bring it from themselves. And 5,000 had come up, and you're like, could I do it? Oh my God. And you're like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And then what happens? You have to tell them what happens.
Okay. So yes, a company had approached me, all of those things. And like, I'd said the $500, and my husband had said more. And I was like, oh my God, like I can't ask for that. I was like, I need to have a call with Shazia. I'm waiting for my next session with Shazia. So I was telling you, and I told you the 500, 1,000. And I was like, what do you think? Right. And and you were like, can you do more? I was like, I could. And you're like, well, do you know what number I see for you? And you said 5,000, and that's the same number that my husband said. So when I was like, okay, my husband said 5,000, and I was like freaking out. And then Shazia said 5,000, and I was like, okay, like this feels like, a sign. And of course that number sounds really good. Like, yes, what I have to share, what I have to give, the time and energy for me preparing this and delivering it and all of it, like, yes, it's worth $5,000. Yes. And you're a big company. You can afford it. It's not like, I'm, whatever. But so much and here I am, right? Here I am, crying to Shazia every other week. How I need money, how I'm broke, financials, blah, blah, blah. Getting this opportunity. And I'm like, okay, let me only ask for 500. Okay, fine. Now I can stretch it to 1,000. And then having two people, who are close to me, who I respect, who I admire, who are thoughtful people to suggest the same number, and still within me is just so much resistance and scaredness of well, what if I say that and they're going to say no, and I'm going to lose, the 500 that I could have had, right? I could have had at least 500, but now I asked for 5,000 and I lost everything. Or even I was like, okay, 5,000, but then maybe I'm going to feel too much pressure on me about what I have to deliver, and that's going to just make me nervous, and I won't deliver up to a $5,000 talk. So it was all of these things that we talked through that we, spent this session on to allow me literally to just be able to admit that that's how much I wanted, admit that that's what I thought I deserved and I was worthy of, have the, to be able to be comfortable to write that response back, to email back with that request, and then be okay with whatever came back. And when it came back affirmative, to know that I would be okay to receive it and accept it and not put that pressure on me. So it was so many layers to what's, when we think about, as people are who message me and talk to me now about making dua and receiving your dua, it seems crazy to me that I would not be able to receive what I'm praying desperately for. I want money, I want money, I want money. Okay, well, here's $5,000. You give this talk, you get $5,000. It could just produce so much anxiety. I have to have a talk with my husband. I have to have a talk with my coach. I have to journal about it. I have to do all of this work just so I can get this $5,000 that I'm praying desperately for.
And there's something I really want to highlight about what you're saying. By the way, congratulations. Throw up some hearts for Zahra. That's amazing, right? What a beautiful moment to go from $500 to $5,000 for the same thing. For the same thing. And what I love about what you're sharing, and this is what makes money, let's talk about money for a second. So interesting is the weight that we attach. You didn't feel the pressure for a $500 talk, but you felt the pressure for a $5,000 talk, because this is what we're doing. We're saying 500 is here, 5,000 is here. And this is what we do. We start measuring and deciding what is worth more because we put money to it. And actually, the money is arbitrary. It is arbitrary. And this is something really important too. Is it a huge win to get $5,000? Yes, because we measure $5,000 and being able to have more purchasing power. It allows us to have a greater exchange, which is nice. But 5,000 is still arbitrary in the grand scheme of things. And that's why when we stop also judging, like, oh, I can't, can I do it? Can I do it? Why would a $500 talk versus a $5,000 talk be any different? It is our internal dialogue. It is our mindset around money. So when we start celebrating all money, here's a great money mindset tip. If you can start celebrating the $1 as much as you do, like the $10,000, and start seeing that the energy is in how you feel, how you allow yourself to receive and celebrate, you're going to attract more. But when we put a judgment on things, we stop the flow, right? We stop the currency. People will refer to money as currency. There's a current. So what was really powerful for you is that you did allow yourself to expand into the space of, yes, I can receive $5,000. You could receive $5 million too, if you allow yourself, right? You allowed yourself to go there and say, I'm ready to hold the space. I'm ready to receive. And then the money just flowed. And you had a great talk. I remember, and you came back and you were like, it went great and it was amazing. And, you know, and you would have been amazing regardless. That's what your husband and I saw in you. That's what you see in your clients and in the people who attend your classes. That's the thing, is that we can see the greatness already. And when you get to the point where you can hold that in your life, there really is no limit. There truly isn't. I mean, again, you know, Allah says be and it is. So it's up to us to really start believing that and believing we're worthy of that.
Yes. Yes. That worthiness piece, you know, is something that I really appreciate now, is just the ongoing work that we will always be engaging in. But to get to a place, at least of the baseline feeling of worthiness, that you're worthy because you are. You are worthy because Allah created you. You're worthy because you're here. And that you can have that choice, that you can make that choice to know that you're worthy and to begin to act on your worthiness, right? So it was a choice I made to, like, okay, I'm going to act on my worthiness and ask for this amount. And I'm going to be okay no matter what they say, say back. 'Cause even if they say, basically, right, through the coaching, through it, is like, even if they came back and said, actually, no, we can't do it, or we don't want you anymore, or can you do it for less? Like, the coaching shifted me to the point where it's like, well, no, I can't do it for less. That's how much I'm worth now.
Yeah.
And that it would have been fun if I had to lose the $5,000 because they wouldn't accept less. I would have felt okay, because I now, like, am owning my worthiness. Like, no, if I were to give it to you now for 500, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel like a value exchange. It feels like I'm being taken advantage of. And whenever you have that type of feeling, can breed resentment and all of those things. You're going to, whenever you devalue yourself, you will begin to resent others, and you can seep that devaluation into other things.
Exactly. And that's when it becomes not arbitrary, is in the exchange. You get to make sure that the exchange feels good for you. And this is where you can continue to expand and grow, because, you know, it is important that there is an exchange. Otherwise, even, again, I keep bringing this back to our deen, like, even in our deen, it's talked about hoarding and miserliness, right, as being a vice. And when we don't allow the exchange of money to happen, so money is simply a tool. It's a tool to exchange for a service, a product, for something. If there is not something equitable, there's going to be something that feels not good. So whether you are on the side of considering maybe investing in yourself in something, allow yourself to think, if I was in the currency, if I was in the exchange and in the flow and I trusted, start to connect with whether you feel like the exchange feels good for you. This class that you're doing, like if it feels good for you, then do it, because you've been following Zahra and you really trust her and it feels good, even if you're like, but I don't know if I can invest. Trust that the money will flow. And if you're on the other side where maybe you're a coach or an entrepreneur or a business owner, and maybe you have some guilt about receiving money in exchange for your services or your product, I invite you to also go into that place of what feels fair and equitable to you. Just like Zahra said, if something doesn't feel fair and equitable and you're going to start feeling resentment, that is also causing a stop in the flow. So it is a lot about energetics and really going back and trusting yourself and trusting, again, that our risk comes from Allah. Like it does. I know that's so much easier said than to accept, but it really does. So start to look at things not about how much does something cost, but is this something valuable for me? And if it's valuable, then invest in it or allow people to invest in it, whichever. I don't know who's watching right now. So
yes. And even like you just said, like the risk is from Allah. Like that company paying me $5,000, it's not actually the company, it's Allah. It's Allah giving me $5,000. It's just flowing through this, this worldly vessel. So if you can see through that, it also makes it easier for you to charge, to receive, and then to state you're asking for what you want. State and ask for what you want. And then on the receiving end, to know that, okay, well, I'm going to make this investment, right? Why many Muslims have a easy time donating to charity. I'm giving this to Allah. I'm giving this to Allah. Expect something in return, or I'm just hoping for something. Maybe you don't have an expectation, but I know that this is good. Feels good. I'm donating. But that same investment in your own self, in your own well-being, in your own health. Maybe it's for green smoothie or vegetables, or maybe it's for a coaching program, or maybe it's for a massage. Can feel like, oh, well, I'm giving this to me. Like, am I worthy of that? Do I deserve it? And that's still connected, right? That's still, you're investing in yourself to be able to be a better servant of Allah, right? To see that there's still that same energetic flow. You're still giving it to Allah. When you are paying for a massage for your own self, for your own well-being, it is in many ways akin to making a donation to charity. You're still giving to Allah. You're giving up your wealth in exchange for feeling better.
Yeah, and I am totally aligned with what you're saying, and I would say that I do believe that investing in yourself is a sadaqah. It's a sadaqah in you. We want to help others. It's a part of who we are. We want to give. We want to uplift others. We want to do that. We feel really good about that. And guess what? Put yourself in that too. And it doesn't have to be only uplifting yourself because you're downtrodden. You can uplift yourself because guess what? If you are more of who you are, then you can take the amana and the trust that Allah has given of who you are, or who you are meant to be, and then spread that. That's also you investing in yourself is giving a sadaqah to become sadaqah jariyah. I mean, I just feel like it's so easy, like it's just all of this, and of course, like I had to deprogram a lot around money mindset. I'm over here speaking about like it's so easy breezy. I did a lot of work around this, but now that I'm on this side, I'm like, it can really be that easy if you allow yourself to start seeing things in this way and allow yourself to receive. I mean, Allah has like literally promised us so many ways that whatever you ask for, you're going to receive. I mean, so Just keep asking.
Keep asking.
Yeah, don't hold back. Ask for it all.
Okay, Shazia, how can people stay connected with you, get more of your juicy wisdom, work with you?
Okay, well, I have a special gift for everybody who is watching. We've been talking about manifesting, and I do have a template and a tutorial around dreaming. So it's my 100 Dreams List template. It's my gift to you. I will send you the exact same template I use to create the life that I've created for myself today. You can grab that at thelifeengineer.com/dreams. And I invite you to take a look, and then there's a tutorial attached to it. I'll be sending you some guidance on how to use that. And then I'd love to be connected and hear about your dreams coming to life. I'm here on, you're already here at The Life Engineer. Give me a follow. I'd love for us to be connected. And like Zahra said, I would love for you to come on my email list. So when you grab that gift, you'll be on my email list too. So it's a win-win all around.
Yes. Okay. Her emails are gold. Her emails will light up your heart. So definitely get on her email list. I'll put the link in the caption. And I also want to say, and Shazia, really, I feel like you just forget. I don't know. You forget that you have an amazing podcast.
Oh, yeah. I do. Oh, my God. I've had a podcast for 5 years. I do forget. It's called Feminine and Fulfilled.
There's hundreds of episodes. There's at least 150. I remember the 150 celebration. So if you want Shazia's like incredible wisdom, go to Feminine and Fulfilled. She has her own Instagram account for Feminine and Fulfilled that you can, hear little snippets, and of course follow her podcast, listen to her podcast, like absorb her energy, be in that space. So many gems. She alternates. Every episode is one episode as her sharing her juicy gems, and then the next episode is her with a guest. I've been one of her guests.
Yes.
And she's had incredible, amazing, superstar guests that, you can just learn so much from. So that is another resource that Shazia has available for all of you that I highly recommend to just put on your rotation of podcasts. The podcast name is Feminine and Fulfilled. And again, I will link everything.
And thank you for
but
that, Zahra. I have to give you a shout out for that, because I do forget sometimes about these things. And Zahra's like, why don't you talk more about your podcast? Why don't you share your episodes? And I started doing that. I mean, I loved getting that coaching from you to when somebody asks me a question now, I'm like, oh, there is an episode where I talk about that. Let me send that over. So thank you for that. Zahra is always like, you're always looking out for what is best. And I've always appreciated that about you. So thank you. That's been so helpful.
Yes, you're welcome. Of course. Like, the thing about both Shazia and I that I hope you guys can appreciate is that we want to win, and we want others to win, because like it's more fun if we're all winning. Right?
Yeah.
Like part of the guilt that we feel, especially those of us in the West, is like, all right, I'm out here doing pretty good, but everyone's like struggling, overseas or even, within our communities, and it doesn't feel good. It dampens. But if we're all winning, then you just literally eliminate that source of guilt. So
yeah, and you have somebody to enjoy with and spend time with and also grow with, I mean, yes. I so value our time together. I learned so much from you. And like you said, we're here to uplift. And yeah, it feels, I want more of us so we can all hang out.
Yeah. And someone said life-changing podcast. So you've got your fans already on here.
Oh, thank you.
I love it. To know that the work of coaching, if you don't know what it is, or why would I need a coach? Do I need a coach? I already have a therapist. I talk to my friends. The work of coaching is really to support you in where it is that you're trying to go and helping you to overcome your own mental hangups that are getting there. And it's different than therapy. We're not licensed medical professionals. We're not getting into trauma. We're not delving too much into your past. We may, touch on things in your past as it relates to you moving forward, but it's really you can think of it as a fitness coach, right? That you have a fitness coach, you come in and you say, I want abs, or I need to lower my cholesterol, or I want to run a faster mile. You state your goal, and your coach is working on a personalized plan for you, well, what do you need to do to run a faster mile or to lose, the weight, right? So it's personalized to what your specific goal is and to what's going on with you in your life and thing, right? Someone's running a faster mile plan is going to be different than another person's because of where they're starting out, all of the different things. That's really the power of coaching. And you can benefit from coaching just through listening to episodes like this, to Shazia's podcast, to being on her email list. You don't have to directly be working with us to benefit from that because we're so good. You will receive the mindset shifts just through our content. It's potent in whatever capacity. I tell people, like, they're like, I want to work with you and I can't afford it. And I'm like, you can change your life from my free content. Like, people have written to me that their life has changed from my free content. So don't be confused that, like, oh, I have to pay, I have to whatever. Like, the choice, what Shazia is explaining here is that when you make the choice, I'm choosing to be wealthy, Allah will send you all the support and resources that you need to move into that choice. The decision starts with the choice. The problem that a lot of people have is that they can't get themselves to make that choice. They don't feel that they have a choice. They don't feel that they can make that decision. And so that may be where, like, okay, I actually need to work with someone because, like, I can't do it. But if you could just make that choice, I'm making dua for wealth and I'm choosing to be wealthy, you will find all of the things that begin to support you to go down that path.
100%. And, I like to think of, if you want to, what investing in yourself does, whether it's in a coach or a program, is it's like the fast pass. I don't know about you, but for me, I'm like, I want to get there in, like, the fastest way possible. I used to say the fastest and cheapest way, but now I understand cheap isn't the way to go. You get what you pay for. But really, like, if you're the kind of person who's like, yeah, give it to me, I want to do it, and I want to do it quick, and I want to do it deep, and I want to, like, go all the way, that's what investing will do. I mean, I wouldn't be honest here if I said I got to where I was only taking in free and not investing. So I'm not going to hold back from saying, look, invest in yourself. What you invest in yourself, go back to what I said earlier, what feels valuable. Stop asking yourself, how much does it cost? Trust when you feel that value is there. You connect with somebody, you connect with what they're saying, or something comes to you and you just feel that intuition, and not impulse, but that intuition that just says, I think that this could really support me, then dive right in and know that the exchange will come to you too. I lost an AirPod.
Yes, just to be transparent. All of the free work I did holds no candle to, and this is a 5-figure investment that I made in working with Shazia. And I told you my story. I had no money. I think the 3rd month I was trying to pull out of it, and we worked together, and I got the money and kept working. But, like, the activation that an investment does for you, right, is it's like the Prophet ﷺ. We think of, like, the first Sahaba and what they did, and they spread Islam, and, like, okay, the Prophet ﷺ is getting this knowledge for free from Jibreel, and he's teaching it to these people for free. But it's kind of like the notion we see in, like, okay, so Islamic knowledge is free in the masjid and free, but it was not free. It was never free. It cost these people their lives. It cost them their family relationships. They were boycotted. They gave up their wealth. They gave up their food. It literally cost them their entire place in society, their standing, the way that they were looked at, that they were mocked. It cost them everything. They made an investment in having faith, in having Islam. And if you don't make a investment in today's day and age, the investment is monetary, right? Yes, you invest your time, your energy, but the activation investment for today's time and age is monetary. When you do that, you're signaling to yourself, this is important, this is valuable, this is where I'm putting my energy and attention, because I just paid 5 figures. I just paid 5 figures. She tells me I need to work. She tells me I'm this mindset is blocking me from accepting $5,000, I'm going to listen. I'm going to journal it out. I'm going to figure out what is in my way so that I can ask for $5,000 with confidence and receive it without guilt and without pressure, without driving myself crazy. That's what the investment is going to do for you. So yes, you can get so far. You can make progress with free stuff. Yeah. But again, like Shazia is saying, if you want to really level up, amplify, go big, move faster, you're going to need to make an investment. Yeah. And there's no other way around it. Yeah.
And, you know, just to close the loop too on somebody who might be watching and be like, but you invested 5 figures and then what? Oh, I mean, you had much more return back to you that year. I just want to say that too, that that's what the exchange is. It's not that you lose out. You know, again, Allah promises this return to us. There's so much about this that's talked about in our deen where, again, start looking at the exchange, start looking at the value and start trusting that Allah will, if you trust in the alignment in which Allah has created you and wants you to be in and do and achieve, then money is just the tool again, and it will come back to you just like it did for you, just like it did for me. I'm not where I am today without investing in myself, without those scary moments, like really, really scary. Like I was getting a divorce and I was literally like, I didn't know what was happening with my life. And somebody told me to attend a $14,000 program. I didn't even know the cost. They hadn't told me yet. They just said, I think you should do this program. And I trusted the woman who said it to me. And I said yes. And when I went home and I saw the cost, I had a heart attack because I didn't have any money. I was going from a marriage to by myself, trying to figure it out. My former husband got all the cash in our marriage, in our divorce. I'm just being totally transparent. So I was really at zero. And I have no idea what came over me. But I said yes to that program in 2014. And to this day, that program changed my life because that is what Allah had sent for me in the moment. And that money, that 14,000 has come multi-fold. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. So I don't think either of us meant to talk about this today, but we said we were open.
We said we were going to talk for 30 minutes, Shazia. We're like, we're going to hold each other back. We're just going to keep it short and tight. Look at us.
But gosh, we talked about some good stuff. Alhamdulillah. I mean, look, there was really good gold in today's conversation. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Re-listen, re-watch. We're here. I have a dua and manifestation program that just roll into it. It's a powerful 6-part program my husband and I are doing. Goes into this and other things, manifesting any dua for wealth, for health, for kids, for marriage, all of the things, just talking about dua in general. And then, of course, you have the gems from Shazia. And get on her email list because Shazia introduces different and new programs at different times. And so I know she's working on something new. So she might not have something available for you right now, but if you want to know what new programs she's going to be having out, you want to be on her email list so that you can be the first to know about them. And of course, then you have her podcast and you have her Instagram account.
I think we just don't want to say goodbye. I think that's what it is. I'm like, I just want to keep talking.
I know.
Thank you so much for having me on. Thank you so much for this conversation today. This really lights me up because watching others succeed really lights me up. And I know it does for you too. And I'm grateful that this is a gift that Allah gave us, that our work is to elevate others and support them to be their bestest, most wealthy, fabulous people that they are.
Yes, alhamdulillah. And we have a final comment here that I think is the perfect to close this off. He says, I never regret staying up late at night or early morning for Shazia.
Oh my gosh, and it is late for Dinda. Thank you so much. I always love having you on. Oh my gosh. I hope you're in Zahra's world too. Dinda's amazing. MashaAllah.
Okay, that's great. All right. Assalamu alaikum, everyone.